Hello, hello, hello. It's Stephen, aka The Visualizer. Thanks for checking out the video. This is part 2 of my new series where I talk through in detail and with reflection stuff that I went through to and through my spiritual awakening that happened last year. So the previous video was really about foundational things that happened from my childhood up until, pretty recently that contributed to poor mental health, and me being unequipped emotionally to be able to find fulfillment and happiness in life. This will be a little more of a positive video. I got all the heavy shit out before, and this one is really about how I started looking for answers. So we need to kind of go back to April 2020, which was an important time in my life. I fell into a really deep depression after a sequence of things triggered me. There were problems at work. This is during COVID, right after it happened. So obviously tough time for everybody. And then I just had some fallings out with good friends of mine. And I withdrew from the world as I did. That was kind of my coping mechanism to just, go into solitude and ignore everybody for a long time. That's how I escaped pain. So I did that, and it got really bad. And I normally, sometimes, I could climb out of it after a day or two or a few days, but this stretched on for a few weeks. And obviously, COVID and all that shit certainly contributed to kind of, low morale and all that shit. But I basically didn't really get out of bed for like 2 or 3 weeks. I didn't shower at all during that time. I was just down bad. Like I just didn't want to go on. I didn't see any hope. I felt like all the people close to me were either unresponsive or they didn't give a shit about me, or they said some pretty hurtful things that I didn't like. And then work was going awful. I was like one of the first people to call out my job for like not letting people work remotely during COVID, and I really took the brunt of that because I was like, fuck it, I'm not coming to work anymore. I'm working remotely, and like I faced like discipline for that. So I was like, fuck work too. Like, damn, everybody's against me. So fell into a deep depression. And then, as I talked about in a previous video, one thing that I've struggled with over the years is suicidal thoughts, and it was popped up again since I was at my lowest point. And as I was planning a suicide, I had a thought pop into my head. It was a word. So I was laying in bed one day, and the word autism popped into my head. And at the time, I think I was 38 or something. 38. Obviously, I'd heard the word, but I had never actually looked into it. I had no fucking idea what autism was. Again, this is before I was diagnosed. So this was just a word that popped into my head, and I was doom scrolling social media, and I was like, autism, huh? What's that? Like, I know like there's Autism Awareness Month, and it's during my birthday month, so I always, noticed it in the puzzle pieces and the ribbons or whatever. But I looked it up, and fuck my life if every one of the symptoms didn't describe like everything I had gone through in my entire life. It was like reading a book and like looking at yourself in the mirror, and I'm like, okay, like this fucking explains a lot of the weird tendencies I have and like shit that I don't like about myself and shit that I've been struggling to like understand and cope with and deal with, and that people don't like me for over the years. That was like the catalyst to like pulling me out of that hole. And I began to look at a lot of like self-help books on like and videos like how to treat autism, and I went down the rabbit hole for a long time. Just like that was my focus, because that's kind of what high functioning autistic people do. Like once they get latched onto a topic or have passion about it, they have to know everything about it. And that's what I did. So I studied up, and I just tried to look for ways to like counterbalance some of the behaviors and stuff that autism kind of causes you to have, and made some progress, and like felt really good about how I got turned corners and identified annoying ass shit that I was doing that other people were perceiving but not telling me over the years. And kind of got back to a level frame. By no means was I happy or anything, but I was pleased at my progress. And again, I did this without any help, like, because everything that I looked at said that like at my age, therapy was not really going to be much good. They can kind of help you a little bit, but I just figured, I'll figure this shit out. I'm fucking super smart, and I've always been. So I took the initiative on that. And that really started me down a journey of like looking into other self-help shit. So fast forward to last year, the beginning of 2023, again, fell into a rut, really was not feeling life at all. And because I had run out of like blaming autism for stuff, resources to kind of look into, I kind of exhausted everything that I possibly could do in that area. So it was back to being, I'm just broken beyond repair. There's nothing I can really do. I am who I am. And then I was just looking in my Kindle library one day, and I saw this book that's called Reinventing Your Life. I think the guy's name is Jeffrey Morris. I'll put it in the description or the comments. And I'd bought this book in 2021 and never read it. So I have no idea like where I got the recommendation from, but it was just sitting in my Kindle library, and I read it, and it was transformative. It talks all about the different traumas that we all carry from childhood that we don't know about, that really everyone has one or more of these things that really dictate kind of your behavior subconsciously, and how you handle relationships, how you handle romantic relationships, all this stuff. So I read through that, and it was very insightful, and it helped me. It has kind of like action plans for what you can do for each of the different, they call them life traps. So that gave me a bit of hope on my self-improvement journey. I started kind of working through some of that stuff. And the same time, kind of as this is all going on, I've dealt with major sleep issues for the past 10 to 15 years, where I battled insomnia and sleep apnea, and basically haven't been able to sleep more than 3 hours at a time for the last decade or more. And it started wearing me down physically. It was really hard to kind of get the energy to be able to like go to work and do anything else. So that was all contributing to, low mental health, and physical health started going to shit as well. Everything is connected. So I had really gone to specialists like a year before and really tried to figure out the sleep issue. They gave me a CPAP machine, and that just didn't work. And I was just demoralized because I really thought that was going to be the silver bullet to help me get a full night's sleep. And then I figured, sleep is important. I figured that would be the catalyst to helping me kind of turn my life around, one of the things, and it didn't happen. It was just, it made my life worse wearing that and dealing with that. So eventually I gave up on it, and I gave up on fixing the sleep altogether, and it just kind of snowballed. And I got a recommendation from one of my friends in February of last year, to try some THC gummies. They said that he had a lot of success with that in like calming his mind and allowing him to get to sleep. And I had tried all this other over-the-counter and prescription shit, everything that could be done, and nothing really worked to help me. And if it did work, it was very short term, and I like gained tolerance to it. So it was, nearly useless. So, I never done edibles or anything. So I found a place he recommended that would ship them to me. I started taking them, and they didn't help that much with the sleep, but I got addicted to the high of it. And it wasn't really the high, but it was more or less how it made me think differently. It like opened my mind and made me like think more with more clarity about everything. And it really brought out like creativity that I had never had before. And I was taking super fucking high dosages of these gummies for a couple months. And it really made me think a lot more philosophically and spiritually as well, which were things that really didn't cross my mind at all. And eventually, in, I guess it was July or August of last year, I realized that, I was addicted. It took a while, so that was like 6 months. And I started getting like paranoia, and then reached out to friends, and thankfully they were able to kind of help me identify that I was going through psychosis. So I cut the gummies off, cold turkey, and that was not a great idea because that led to some more stuff. But I think that the gummies really were actually an important part of me getting to my spiritual awakening, because I really started to think about who I was more deeply and my place in the world, and just yeah, the world in general, the universe in general. And during the time I was on the gummies, I began journaling, and I literally wrote like hundreds of articles on my notes app just about random shit. And probably like a third of them were like stoner talk, just whatever stupid ass shit that came to mind. But I still have like several hundred of them. And there's some profound ass shit that I wrote that I look back on, and it's like, damn, I was like spot on to shit that I'm just like studying right now and like locking in a full like understanding and awareness of. So since then, I've joined Energy Healing Academy, and as part of that, they teach plant medicine. And I've spoken to all these different people in my classes and on retreats, and they've really sung the praises of a lot of plant medicine and psychedelics like mushrooms, ayahuasca, kambo, bufu, a bunch of other different things that can treat a variety of different issues. So I'm a firm believer that, psychedelics, if handled properly with, the right guidance, can definitely help you in a lot of different healing. I've only done that once at my retreat pretty recently when I went to Mount Shasta 2 weeks ago. We did ayahuasca, and it wasn't as crazy of an experience as I was expecting, but it definitely helped me heal some stuff and make some progress on personal growth. So that's really where I think I'm going to end it today. So also kind of in this time while I was, doing a lot of the self-help reading and studying and reflecting and journaling, one of the most important things I did during this time is, again, I wanted to try to identify what I didn't like about myself, which is really hard, to be honest. Most people are just not willing to do that kind of honest self-reflection. And I made a list of had to be 30 or 40 different things that I just didn't like. And then also even more courageous is I reached out to those closest to me and I asked them, be honest with me, be fucking dead honest. What are some of the most annoying things about me, or things that you don't like about me? And I took that fucking criticism, and some of that shit hurt, but I wanted to hear it, and I added that shit to the list. And basically that was my little checklist for kind of starting to turn the corner. It was, okay, we've identified all this shit that we don't like or other people don't like. Let's see how much of it is valid, and then let's see what we can do to try to address all these things. Some of them were physical issues, some of them were mental, behavioral, emotional, all this shit. So I basically just categorized and prioritized the big list and started working through that shit and really started making some progress in mid 2023, despite all of the shit I was going through, as far as still being kind of down, still not really being able to sleep. And I attribute just that effort and trying to change and get better is really, I think, and also, the opening of my mind through the edibles had a lot to do with the timing of when my spiritual awakening happened. And I'm going to get into all the details of right before that and how that happened in the next video. So thank you for checking me out. Again, hopefully this is entertaining, insightful, or inspiring, and stick with me. I got way more to talk about, and all y'all have a great day. Peace, love, and light.